Today's video was not originally scheduled on our production calendar. It kind of came out of left field and is basically an urgent public service announcement for anyone with a WordPress website. Because last week, several clients' WordPress websites that we host and manage suddenly crashed. So today I'm going to explain why all these sites were crashing and how we resolved the issue. And by the way, if you're watching this video and you're one of our clients, everything is fixed, you're good to go. This video is really meant for people or businesses that manage their own WordPress site. And I want to make you aware of some important updates in 2024 that could have catastrophic effects on your website if not handled correctly or in a timely manner. So 10 days ago, I get this email from HostGator saying that they are upgrading our servers to PHP 8.2. And by the way, if you're not familiar with HostGator, they are a major hosting company. I've been with them for over a decade. They're a good company. And when they say they're upgrading the servers to PHP 8.2, PHP is the scripting language that processes a website's code on a web server. Think of it like, the operating system on your phone or your computer. Then their letter goes on to say, over the next few weeks, older versions of PHP will no longer be supported, and that older versions of PHP will be removed and sites will be forced to adopt the newer supported version of PHP. Now, we've known for a few months we'd eventually have to transition to this PHP 8.2, and we also knew that there might be a few hiccups along the way because when we attempted to upgrade one of our clients' sites to this PHP 8.2 a few months ago, their site crashed. But fortunately, we were able to quickly get their site back online by simply rolling back to an earlier version of PHP, in this case was PHP 7.4, and then their site came back right away. So we just kind of tabled this PHP issue for a few months since it wasn't like hair on fire urgent, but we knew we'd have to get it taken care of eventually. But now, since we get this notice from our web hosting company telling us they're going to force the update in the very near future, we could not avoid this any longer and risk one or more of our clients' sites going down. And here's where we got thrown a bit of a curveball, which could also happen to you. At the same time we get this notice from HostGator that they're forcing an upgrade to PHP 8.2, we also learned that they eliminated the option to roll back or downgrade to a lower version of PHP if something goes wrong, which means once you flip the switch to PHP 8.2, there's no turning back. And if your site crashes, you are up the creek without a paddle. So if you manage your own WordPress website and you get a notice from your hosting company telling you to upgrade to PHP 8.2, make sure you have the ability to roll back to a prior version like PHP 7.4 if your site crashes. If you find out you can no longer roll back to an earlier version of PHP because they disabled that feature, you're going to need to use what's called a staging server, which is kind of like a digital laboratory or workshop where you put a copy of your website on the staging server, then you can test things out, and if something breaks on your site, no harm, no foul. You never want to implement major changes or do significant testing on a live website just in case something goes wrong and there's irreversible damage to your site. So in our case, because we could no longer roll back to an earlier PHP version if something broke, we had to make a clone of each client site, put it on a staging server, flip the switch, and upgrade to PHP 8.2 and sit back and see what happened. And here's what we discovered. The good news is about 50% of our client sites passed with flying colors. The bad news is about 50% of our client sites crashed when we upgraded to PHP 8.2, which was way more than I expected. And we use name brand premium digital components on all the websites we build, which made this even more puzzling. I'm not going to bore you with all the gory technical details, but after hours and hours of testing, we finally isolated the problem to the following two things. First, WordPress plugins, and second, WordPress themes that were incompatible with PHP 8.2. And don't think this can't happen to you, because that's exactly what we thought. When we found out the culprit was a defective WordPress plugin, deleting that plugin allowed the site to run just fine with PHP 8.2. If your site is crashing because your WordPress theme is the problem, because it's not compatible with PHP 8.2, you have three options to fix that problem. Number one, try and isolate the code in your theme that's causing your site to crash and fix the code. This is what ended up being the solution for us. If you don't want to mess around with code, option number two is to see if your WordPress theme developer has a theme update. Some will, some won't. Then option number three, if you're unable able to fix the code in a defective theme or the developer does not have a theme update, you might just have to rebuild your site, and that's just the cold, hard reality. But if that's the case, better to find out now so you can get working on this right away. If you'd like to take a deeper dive on this whole PHP 8.2 thing, here's a really good resource I found from our friends over at Forge and Smith, and I've linked to their article in the description below. Well, that's it for now. My name is Mark Brinker. Thanks for watching. Hopefully you found this video helpful. If you did, please like and subscribe. Have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.